Mailbag time coming up in just a second. We'll answer your questions. But first, get subscribed to Chicago Bears now. Hit that subscribe button. We're closing in on 19,000 subs. I want to get there as soon as possible. We can get there with your help. All you got to do is subscribe and help me out too. Share that link with a friend. It's youtube.com/BearsNow. First question on today's live mailbag, Alan McChristian, #Bears. Do the Bears franchise tag Trubisky? I'm going two smoking Jays on that one. It's definitely much more likely than it was even 2 weeks ago. I'll keep saying it. If this team makes the playoffs, I think Trubisky's back. Now, does that mean they re-sign him to a one-year deal? Do they franchise tag him? I think lots of options are on the table. If they miss the playoffs, maybe things change. Maybe they cut him loose and they don't re-sign him. But yeah, I think it's very much a possibility that tagging him could be on the table. I think his tag number will be like $20 million. That's a lot. But say he beats the Packers and wins a playoff game, I mean, he might be worth it at that point. So, yeah, two smoking Jays on that one. Tyler Houston next up. What are your thoughts of the Bears signing TY Hilton and tagging Robinson could be a big duo threat? That would be fun. I don't know what TY Hilton's market's going to look like, but if you tag Robinson and sign Hilton, I'll say this. Robinson's going to be pissed if you tag him and go sign another high-end receiver. He's not going to be very happy about that. So I think overall you should just extend AR and then maybe you see what Hilton's market value is. But, yeah, that would be fun. But if you're going to bring in another big-time receiver, you got to extend Robinson. It can't be tag Robinson, go give big money to another receiver. That's not going to work. Harry Giles next up, name that athlete. #Bears. Has Matt Nagy done enough to save his job, or does he need to beat the Packers? The report heading into the Jags game was that if he wins that game, it's most likely that he'll be back. I think he's probably going to return. Now, let's say the Bears lose this game 42-10, and it's embarrassing, and he clearly gets out-coached, and Trubisky's a disaster. Maybe that changes their minds, and they miss the playoffs on top of all that. Maybe they change their minds. But if they're even competitive in this game, they're probably going to give it another run with this guy because regardless of how you guys feel about Matt Nagy, he's at least going to be 8 games above 500 in 3 seasons. That's not nothing. That's not meaningless. We say 2019 was a disaster. He still went 500. He went 8-8. He went 12-4 his first year. He's going to go 8-8 or 9-7 this year. Has he been great? No. Has he done some good things? Absolutely. Matt Nagy is probably one of the top 15 or 16 head coaches in the NFL, and maybe he continues to improve as a coach. I'm not saying he's Belichick. I'm not saying he's Andy Reid, but you guys act like he can't coach at all. Like, I get it. He's got a pretty good roster, but it's not like he's massively underachieving. There's some flaws on this roster. There's no doubt about that, and Ryan Pace has not done him many favors. If the Bears make the playoffs, I think it's a lock that Matt Nagy returns. If they barely miss it and they're competitive against the Packers, probably still 3 smoking Jays that he's back next season. I think the Bears are going to give him a 4th year, and honestly, they probably should because I think he's done more good than bad in his 3 seasons. Now, do you want Matt Nagy back in 2021? I think a lot of you guys are going to say no, but let me know what you guys think. Type Y for yes, type N for no. We'll make this the pinned comment on today's video. Do you want Matt Nagy back in 2021? Next up on our mailbag is Gamersville. Should the Bears draft Kellen Mond? You said Kendall, but you meant Kellen Mond, the Texas A&M quarterback. 6th round, I guess, if you want him as a project. I'm not that interested. He's big, he's got a strong arm, and he's mobile. Honestly, you ready for this take? Way worse Trubisky. He's got good tools, but he's inaccurate as hell, and he's a bad decision maker. No, I'm out on Kellen Mond. Unless you want to draft him in the 7th round. If the Bears don't re-sign Mitch, who will be our quarterback? That's the $64,000, $100 million question, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. I think if I had to guess today, it's going to be Trubisky. But if not, I think it's going to be either a draft pick or someone in free agency or a trade. I'll say this with 99.9% certainty. Nick Foles will not be your starter next year. I think there's a decent chance he's on the roster as a backup, but he cannot be your starter. I will commit to that. But as far as who will be the starter, I don't know at this point. I think Trubisky's the leader in the clubhouse, but it could be one of about 5 different names between the draft and free agency. Dark horse, by the way, Jimmy Garoppolo. Joshua says, #Bears, what if Mitch goes off and plays well but we still lose? Should we consider re-signing him? Absolutely. If the Bears lose 38-31, Trubisky throws for 3 bills, a couple of touchdowns, and you miss the playoffs, what's your other option, okay? You're going to be 8-8. You're not getting one of the top 4 quarterbacks in the draft unless you trade up, which I guess you could do that, but is trading up for Trey Lance a better option than re-signing Trubisky for 1 year? Maybe. That's the unknown of the draft. You don't really know. I think if he plays well in this game, they're probably going to bring him back. 3 Smoking Jays. Unless Trubisky shits the bed in this game, he's probably going to come back. I'll give it about a 70% chance. Now that leads me to this question, because this is a totally different question, by the way. Can Mitchell Trubisky be a franchise quarterback? And when I ask this, I don't mean can he be serviceable? Can you win some games with him? Can he be a top 12 to 15 quarterback and not be the reason you lose games? Because he's been at times the reason you've lost games. Can he be an above average, solid, stable quarterback? Can he be what Andy Dalton was for a decade in Cincinnati? Can he be Kirk Cousins? Can he be one of those guys? That's what I want to know from you guys. He's not going to be Mahomes. He's not going to be Deshaun Watson. But can he be a decade-long starter? I'm not there yet. I'd like to see him get there. I think he's improving. Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. Sorry for the long-winded explanation, but I think when we say franchise quarterback, we have to be very specific. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you think he can, and if you're typing your 1, then why not commit to getting a Mitchell Trubisky jersey for just $80? Chatsports.com/Trubisky. We've got this navy one and this gray one available for you guys for $79.99. Our partner Fanatics has these great deals for you guys. There are other Trubisky jerseys, but they're more expensive. That's why I'm focusing on these two, because you can get them for $80. Who's spending $150 on a jersey? In this economy, get one for $80. Chatsports.com/Trubisky. That link will be in the comments and in the description. Abdullah Jamel, #Bears, should we draft a guy like Travis Etienne to pair with Montgomery so we can have a mix of speed and physicality? The Clemson running back, for those of you who don't know, you re-signed Tariq Cohen for 3 years. So I think he's your speed off-pace guy, right? Like, it doesn't make sense to go get Etienne, especially since at worst, he's going 2nd round. Probably 1st, honestly, late in the 1st round. Bears don't need any running backs. Get Cohen healthy. Montgomery, as you guys have seen in recent weeks, can be a damn good running back if your offensive line is competent. I think you're good to go. You got your 1-2 punch in David Montgomery and Tariq Cohen. Jake Vardaro, who in your opinion should the Bears draft? Offense or push for the best defense? I do think you need some defense. This defense has not been locked down. It's good still. It's not 2018, though. This is not the 2018 Bears defense under Vic Fangio. It hadn't been as good as Pagano. I think an underlying story that we are not talking about enough, and probably will, especially if the Bears lose to the Packers and give a bunch of points, maybe a change at defensive coordinator. That could be more likely than offensive staff changes at this point, just because in some areas they've underachieved. I still think offensive line is you've got to get a left tackle. I think your interior set. Defense, you probably need another edge rusher. Robert Quinn has not worked out. You need another pass rusher. Those are a couple of areas. Maybe a safety next to Eddie Jackson, but we'll take a look deeper at the draft once the Bears hit the offseason. Jay Les, #Bears, could we use Charles Leno's trade bait? Who could be interested in? Is the XFL starting next year? Oh, it's not, so no. He's got no value. He's played a little better recently. I'll give him credit, but he costs way too much. Over $10 million? No, he's a below-average left tackle. I think moving him to right tackle and drafting a left tackle might be your biggest possibility to maximize him. Jair, what's the corner situation? #Bears. I assume you're talking for Week 17 and not long-term. The corner situation, as we're filming this live, if you're watching this later in the week, but as we're filming live, which is Tuesday, join us, 4 o'clock Eastern, 3 o'clock Central every Tuesday. As of now, Jalen Johnson and Buster Screen have not been announced that they will return. They've missed the last few weeks. Johnson, your number 2 outside corner. Screen, your top nickelback, obviously. Kendall Vildor and Duke Shelley have been manning those spots without them. As of now, I don't think they're going to play. That can change. But and by the time we post this video after live, it could change. I'll pin a comment if that's the case. But as of now, Kyle Fuller's your only top corner healthy, and that's a little concerning heading into Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. Muhammad Torre, Hashtag Bears. Harrison, what offensive lineman do you think we could go get? I think we should draft Trey Smith or Liam Etchenberg in the second round. They are both projected to go in the first 3 rounds. If you don't get one of the top tackles in round 1, I think round 2 makes some sense, so those could be some options. Trent Williams is a free agent. It's not a strong free agent class at tackle, which is unfortunate because you need a tackle. I think draft is going to be your best bet. I'd like to go one in round 1 because I don't think quarterback is going to be an option in round 1 now, but we just have to wait and see. Valente Rosales, do you think Roquan Smith could be DPOY, Defensive Player of the Year? He should be considered. It's a joke he's not in the Pro Bowl. He's having an all-pro year. He had 2 picks against the Jags on Sunday. He's been all over the place as a tackler. I think he's got like 18 tackles for loss now. He's been outstanding. He's got 5 sacks, too. For an inside linebacker, it's 4 or 5. I think it's 5. He's doing everything. Coverage, sacks, tackles for loss. He's flying around. One of the best linebackers in the NFL. Few more here. Hayden asks, hashtag Bears, do you think, by the way, with the Packers mug there, I saw that trending on social media today. How do you think of this tag A-Rob, sign Mitch to a 1 or 2 year deal, and use a first and second on an offensive tackle, and maybe use a third or a fifth on a QB? I do think, I will say this, and we probably should have mentioned this earlier, even if you bring back Trubisky, I do think drafting a quarterback in round 2 is on the table. Take a Mac Jones, take a Kyle Trask. I think that could be an option if you bring back Trubisky on a 1 or 2 year deal, because just because Trubisky finishes strong here, that's not a massive sample size of saying, hey, you're the guy for the next 5 years. Like, I think you could do both, so we will have to wait and see on that as well. Aiden Collins is next up. What do we do with Jermaine Ifedi? 1 year deal this year. You know, he's a free agent after this year, obviously. If you want to re-sign him for cheap, he can compete for the right tackle gig. I'm okay with that. I think you only want him being your starting right tackle if you upgrade at left tackle, right? Like, you're not going to have studs at all 5 offensive line positions, but if you have a Fetty out there at right tackle, he's serviceable, and then maybe you get a good left tackle. I think you could live with that.